I was watching some crap on Netflix the other day, and I watched something so truly awful, I felt I had to make a video on it. To give a little context, was a pretty big Catherine Tate fan, until I watched her...
Which swear word did everyone in this office collectively find the most offensive?
I haven't a clue.
Just take a bloody guess. Look, there's one already.
I'm really no good at this sort of thing.
Just a bit of fun. Guess. Come on.
Titwank.
Her new, most recent telly-series, Hard Sell, a comedy set in a women's prison. It seems like it is full of potential, but I honestly think it is one of the worst things I have watched. Possibly ever. And there's definitely something to it. It felt like it had potential. It felt like it could have been something. A women's prison seems like a great place to set a comedy. So many jokes. But the show had one really big issue. And that was Catherine Tate herself, who is normally pretty funny. Though her last couple things, like this and Nan the movie, were not quite up to par. And Tate is playing 6 different characters in the show, each of them as unfunny as the last. 4 of them feel definitely slightly offensive for something coming out in 2022, but none of them are funny. Which is, I think, the biggest flaw of this show, because Catherine Tate is playing 6 different characters, all of which are not particularly funny. So our show's main focus is the prison warden. She has decided that they should make a telly show all about the life in prison of these women. So it's a sort of mockumentary setup.
I'm sure for all of it.
Are we going to be on the telly then, miss?
I expect that is the general idea, yes.
So the mockumentary really focusing on this warden and her creative endeavours to help the prisoners thrive. As she says many times, that creativity, and she goes on and on about how creativity will help these women become rehabilitated.
Creativity leads to rehabilitation.
And she has now started to plan a prison musical, hence the cameras being there.
Musicals? In prison? Hell to the yes. No creativity, no rehabilitation.
Catherine Tate also plays a new inmate who has been wrongly admitted to jail.
Angela Brooks.
A gay Essex guard.
You're not allowed no more. Twitter said so.
An Irish woman obsessed with her mother with clear developmental issues.
Is there going to be an audience for your show, Heather? Is there going to be people watching at the end, like? Because if there is, I'll be in it and my mammy will come and see it.
Big Viv, the Scottish psycho. Very aggressive and unpredictable, and what everyone wants for a roommate.
I'm a natural born entertainer. I'm also incredibly violent, and singing is my happy place.
And then finally, the mother of that said Irish character. So another very thick, heavy Irish accent for Catherine Tate to have a go at. And their names are Laura, Ange, Marco, Ros, Big Viv, and Mary Ann, or Amory. And I couldn't tell you which character had which name, because they are all pretty much identical. But those were in the order I described, the other things in. So, hopefully you guys can remember, because I struggled. Now, the actual plot of the show isn't that bad. And if you had, somebody else who wasn't playing 6 characters in the show, you probably could have done something with this. A comedy mockumentary set in a women's prison seems like a show that would definitely work, but it doesn't. Heather from EastEnders shows up to help teach the women how to put on a musical. And the show makes many references to the fact that this is, Heather from EastEnders. So unless you're British and probably watched, EastEnders or have some kind of vague reference of it, you'll have no idea what's going on. And again, I don't know if a show for Netflix is, supposed to be tailored to an international audience, but whatever. But the ensemble cast of women trying to like perform a musical and get over their, prison differences is actually quite engaging, except for Catherine Tate's characters, who are loud, in your face, and obnoxious. For example, we have Sally, who is a visually impaired woman, pretending not to be blind because she doesn't want to show any weakness in prison. And it's really funny. There's so many little bits where she is, trying her best, and it's funny. Or thick as shit Jean, who is thick as shit, and you get to laugh at her being stupid.
Can I put you down for costumes?
In what?
Do you want to be in a musical?
Yeah.
And there's also a Welsh woman who no one can understand, and her little bits are funny until Catherine Tate's character gets involved, and they introduce another character with the same gimmick, and there's a whole episode where the joke is no one can understand Welsh people. Which is, funny for a little bit, but it's not funny for very long. Hence, another problem, this show just burning its jokes to the ground. There's only 6 episodes, and you'd think it would take longer for a joke to get repetitive, but it doesn't. The prisoners have a bit where they go, I've got a business, and you say the name of the business, and then some kind of pun related to how it's doing. And it's sort of funny, but in the 6 episodes, it comes up maybe 20 times, and puns stop being funny very quickly. But back to the main story. We see the prisoners have lost the rights to put on West Side Story. So they're having to write their own musical. And it's all about their life on the inside. And, again, it's one of those bits where a women's prison writing their own musical has a lot of potential to be really funny.
I give to you HMP Wolseley's production of Songs from the Inside!
But it's not. The musical doesn't have a funny payoff in the end. The big setup for the whole show doesn't have a, funny musical sequence that you'd expect at the end of a show like this. But that's fine. But that's what you expect by the end of the show. You've lost all faith, and you can hear Catherine Tate singing with a bad Scottish or Irish accent, or Essex accent, if you want. But there are a few side plots that make you have a little bit of emotion towards some of the characters. Normally not Catherine Tate's ones. We have a lesbian couple who have been staying in prison, and one of them's been extending their sentence by committing minor felonies and stuff.
Gay for the stay. I mean, it's not for everyone, late onset lesbianism.
But my goodness, we're giving it a go.
So they can stick together, and then they have to be broken apart. And they can't find the last piece of their jigsaw. And it's a little bit emotional. If you cared more about these characters, it would probably really be emotional. But it's hard to get invested because, obviously, the show focused mainly on Catherine Tate and her playing all of the characters that no one likes. But, again, it's a little bit intercut with Catherine Tate's Scottish character doing bad Kardashian impressions, which must be easily 10-20 minutes of this show. It's just Catherine Tate pretending to be Scottish, pretending to be the Kardashians, and the joke gets very old very, 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 very fast.
I'm excited! That was one of the Kardashians.
That was really good, Viv. That was brilliant.
I know.
And we see a prisoner going through pregnancy in prison. And it's quite emotional. Them having to deal with quite a lot of problems. And also, they start to develop relationships and seem to, trust more people whilst they're there. Unfortunately, that plotline is also meshed in with Catherine Tate's prison warden and her trying to date or fall in love, or the slow will they won't they of her and her number 2. which is another joke they make a million times in this show. It's just her saying the word number 2 a lot, because poo who you are, very funny. But there is one of Catherine Tate's characters that is sort of likeable throughout the show. The prison newbie, the wrongly accused meek woman trying to find her way in this prison while hopefully she gets back out.
Good luck for the show tonight. I know we've had our differences, but I wish you well.
Thanks.
And she's going up against one of the prison bullies. But during the musical, the prison bully starts to redeem themselves as they learn not everyone around them hates them. And they sort of work together. And the musical seems like it's going to go off without a hitch. And Catherine Tate's wrongly accused prisoner gets out. But in a twist ending, it turns out she was evil. She stole the jigsaw piece so the lesbians couldn't complete their puzzle.
Dropping from above.
And she switches the knife in the musical from the prop one to a real one, so her bully gets stabbed.
Lesson 1 day.
I assume maybe there was something that was going to go on for season 2, but in fact she ruined the only likeable character she played in the show, and I would just avoid it at all costs. It has a 20% score on Rotten Tomato, and it didn't get picked up for a second season. Maybe this would have worked back in like the 80s or the 90s, where you can have someone playing slightly offensive, all the role characters. But when you're going up against, Single Drunk Female or Conquer Earth, other shows that came out in 2022, it just doesn't feel like it has a place, It's not Little Britain time anymore. So I'll see you in the next one of whatever the flip videos I'm doing at the moment, because we're going to keep trying weirder and weirder stuff.